Buenos I'm Juliana Del Agila Éռnեկyan. I'm the owner and president of Caras Wines, and I'm here to answer the silly questions of ԵՐԵՎԱN magazine.
Արդյոք հայկական գինին իսկապես ունի իր շատ ուրույն տեղը համաշխարհային գայում, թե գուցե մենք մի քիչ չափազանցնում ենք մեր գինու հաջողությունը։
So I think that since we started with Caras in the early 2000s, we've done a lot of work to position Armenian wine in the wine world. And I think we've done a great job. First of all, we started to talk about the historical wine world, which is a part of the wine world that has the new world, which can be like the US, Argentina, New Zealand, for example, and then the old world of wine, which is like Spain, France, and Italy. And then now people are starting to talk about the historical world of wine, which is Armenia mainly, and Georgia, Lebanon, which is where the cradle of wine was found. So I think that definitely there's a great place and an important place for Armenian wine in the world.
Ինչն է հայկական գինին դարձնում իսկապես հայկական։ Արևը, ջուրը, հողը, թե պատրաստման ձևը։
So I think that what makes a wine from its place, it's a combination of everything. In wine world, we talk about terroir, and terroir is a combination of the soil, the weather, the sun, the rain, the people, and of course the technologies used to make that wine. So when we talk about Armenian wine, we talk about the combination of all of these things. In our case, it's volcanic soil, beautiful sun all around the world, dry climate, our vision in terms of making wine, and the combination of ancient technologies as the use of caras for fermentation and aging, and also the use of Armenian oak, French oak, and the modern technologies of winemaking.
Երեխաղում Կարաս Wines-ը այս հայկական գինու կայացման մեջ։
Caras is a family business. This was started by my great uncle Eduardo. He had the vision of bringing back wine to Armenia. When he started in the early 2000s, he had this vision of being the pioneers of the rebirth of Armenian wine. We started making wine here, and it was sort of like a coincidence because a couple of years later, after we were making wine already, the Areni cave was found, which is the main evidence that winemaking started here and that Armenia is the cradle of wine. So from here, we decided to also invest in Argentina, in Patagonia. So we've been making wine from the cradle of wine, from the beginning of the wine world to the end of the world. I think that to make wine is a very unique thing and very personal, and we try very hard to make this personal vision come together and be a part of the way that we see wine and the way that we make wine. This is a family business. It's a way of connecting with my roots, connecting with my family, connecting with our history. So this vision, it's part of the decisions that we take in order to make this wine. So for Caras, our history and our Armenian heritage is part of our core values. So we choose everything Armenian first, which is Armenian talent, Armenian materials in order to produce our wine. And I think the combination of all of these details is what makes Caras really unique.
Ինչով է Կարասներում հնեցված գինին յուրահատուկ գինու այլ պատրաստման եղանակներից։
The use of caras to make wine, it's a very unique thing to Armenian. Especially caras brings a lot of oxygen to the wine, no? So the caras it's a clay vessel that you can use either to ferment or to age wine. We use it for both. It depends on the wine. And it brings mainly a lot of oxygen to the wine. So this brings a lot of power, a lot of fruit flavors, and in our case, in the wines that we use caras to make the wine, we choose it because of the specific character that it brings. The clay also brings a sort of like attention to the wines, and I think that makes it really, really special.
Ինչ ուտելիքի հետ արժի համադրել հայկական գինին, որպեսզի այն իսկապես բացահայտվի իր էությամբ։
I'm not really strict with pairing. I think that's very personal. Of course, I think that there are certain rules that can help us think about pairing that will bring the best out of the food that we're having and the wine that we're having. So when it comes to pairing, we sometimes think about like regional pairings. That would be like the wine that grows in a place also goes well with the food that is done in that place. So I think that the best pairing would be like Armenian food. But at the same time, the wines that we make in Karas are wines that are thought to be enjoyed on their own. So you can either like drink them on their own or pair it with whatever food you like or any moment, every person. So that's the idea behind the wines that we make.
Վաղուց արմատացած կարծիք կա, որ օրինակ ձկան հետ պետք է մատուցել միայն սպիտակ գինի։ Արդյոք դա այդպես է թե պարզապես հնացած կարծրատիպ։
I think that's a myth, but mainly because the idea behind the pairing is that one thing doesn't cover the other or doesn't ruin the other thing, but to make both things really bring the best out of each other. So when we think about fish and white wine, that's mainly because it's usually like just like a white fish, very light, and then white wine will like not cover the flavor of the other. But then it depends. Maybe that fish, for example, has a sauce, or maybe it's like along with something else. It also has to do with like the spices that the plate has. So I think that pairing can be very versatile, and it depends on also the expectations that you have in order to pair those plates and wines together.
Հարց ջերմաստիճանի մասին։ Ինչքանով է կարևոր ճշգրիտ ջերմաստիճանը գինին ճիշտ զգալու համար։
I don't like to overcomplicate wine drinking, but temperature is like very, very important in order to bring the best out of each wine. When it comes to red wines, it's usually good to have them like between 12, 13, up to 14 degrees Celsius. And then when it comes to reds, I think the best to whites, the best would be like between 6, 7, even 8 degrees. But then more than that, it can make the wine not be like the best version of it.
Շարունակելով ջերմաստիճանի թեման, արդյոք կարելի է երբևէ որևէ դեպքում գինին սառեցնելու համար մեջ է գցել սառույցի հատիկներ։
As I said before, I'm not very strict with anything, so I think that everyone should like enjoy the wine as they want to. In terms of adding ice cubes, I think that in some occasions it's like even better than drinking the wine like hot in a way or not in the right temperature, and you can always like add it and then remove it just to like bring the temperature down a little bit. And it also depends on the type of wine. When you're drinking like a very fruity and like young wine, then sometimes like in a warm summer day it's even good to put an ice cube.
Իսկ ունեք կարասի գինիների մեջ ձեր սիրելի տեսակը։
So I don't have a favorite wine every day. I think like every day I choose a different one. It depends on the moment, on the conversation that I'm having, on the situation, if I'm pairing with food or not. Of course, I'm like very much in love with Areni and Syrah here in Armenia. I think that these two grapes are like our stars and our north stars also when it comes to treating our vineyard and making our wines. But yeah, I think that all of them are my favorites.
Իսկ գինու հետ կենաց ասելը գինու համպեսին օգնում է։
Of course, I think that it's one of the most important things when drinking wine, like to be able to share it and in some cases even open your heart during the Kենաց. So I think that that's like one of the things that I love the most about the wine experience, especially here in Armenia. I would like to toast for Armenian wine, for our heritage, for my family's journey here in Armenia, for the possibility of being a part of this amazing story that we are being a part of, making wine a big part of the Armenian culture again. And I think that I would like to toast for my family, for my family's journey, and for my great uncle that had this amazing vision of planting a vineyard in Armenia and taking us to where we are now today. So, Kenneth.